Good morning, everybody. Late morning, early afternoon for some of you. Today we're going to be talking about something that I don't really care about all that much, and I don't think most of you guys care about it very much either, but it's still noteworthy. It's noteworthy enough for at least one video. But the Pro Bowl, the NFL Pro Bowl, is what we're going to be talking about today, and that is the thing that I don't really care about all that much. I like individual accolades. I like honoring players that deserve it. I like giving credit and praise and awards to players who warrant those accolades and awards. But the Pro Bowl has done it in a way that makes it kind of hard to take seriously. And if anything, I think it can be a little bit detrimental at times because when trying to judge who's a good player and who's not, the argument ends up devolving into, well, who made the Pro Bowl, who didn't, who made the most Pro Bowls, who made the least Pro Bowls, etc. And because the Pro Bowl is not a reliable predictor or indicator of who is the best player at their respective positions, that's not really all that useful, right? Then it becomes actually negative value to have. But it's cool for the players, it's fun for the players. Some people do take it seriously. I'm more all about the all-pro teams. I think the all-pro teams are far more likely to get it right, and they are far more meaningful because it's much harder to make all-pro. But nevertheless, let's take a few minutes here to talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks because we got three players. We have three players who made the Pro Bowl from the Seattle Seahawks this year. And it's three players who are on defense, which is kind of funny to me because our defense is bad and our offense is actually kind of average. The offense is much better than the defense right now. So the fact that we would send all our Pro Bowlers from the defense is, I mean, it's something. I'm not saying they don't deserve it. I'm not saying these are bad players necessarily. I'm not saying that anybody in the offense necessarily deserved to make it, but it's just kind of funny how that works out. So, the three selections from the Seahawks for the Pro Bowl are linebacker Bobby Wagner, cornerback Devon Witherspoon, and safety Julian Love. Most interesting thing there would be the fact that this is Bobby Wagner's 9th career Pro Bowl, so one away from double digits, and I made a video breaking down Wagner's potential climb into infamy, or, well, not infamy, but a climb into the record books earlier this year. Very few linebackers have made double-digit Pro Bowls. It's very, very rare. So if he can hang around for one more year like he wants to and play well enough to make the Pro Bowl, or at least get the credit for another Pro Bowl nod, he's stepping into the true legends of the position. Witherspoon, of course, it's his first, and Julian Love, it is his first Pro Bowl. So, kind of tough here, kind of tough to parse through, but Bobby Wagner, I mean, I talked about him at length yesterday. I talked about what he had been doing for the Seahawks this year. I talked about how, even though this defense is bad, I think you can make a very strong argument that he's doing about everything that he can do to get the most out of this team, and he's just not being supported. Every metric that you look up, every metric that you can find indicates very clearly that Bobby Wagner is doing all he can as a run defender, and he's getting no help from his teammates. He's getting no support from the rest of his team. Average depth of tackle is good. Stop rate is good. Stop percentage is good. Run stops is good. Run tackles is good. Run defense great on PFF. Like, all this stuff is good. So I'm not seeing any reason to believe that he's bad in that area. In fact, it looks like he's one of the best in the league in that area. Now, the coverage stuff, yeah, I don't know if a linebacker with that many deficiencies in coverage belongs in the Pro Bowl. I'll just say it straight up. I'll just be real. But what I can say is that he did put up numbers this year. Like, numbers that actually mean something. Think about it like this. He's got 168 tackles, 11 of them for a loss. Last year he was here, he had about that same number of tackles. He had 3 tackles for a loss. So that's going to help. That's going to make it look like you're more impactful than you otherwise would look when you're making plays in the backfield. Bobby averages, well, not quite one play in the backfield per game, but it's way better than it's been in a long time. Like, this is the highest he's been since 2017 in terms of making plays in the backfield. 3.5 sacks is also a good number 2 for an inside linebacker, relatively speaking. He had more last year, but 3.5 is one of the higher totals of his career. He's been getting to the quarterback a little bit more than he typically does, I think, at least in recent years. So there is some stuff here that kind of makes it line up, that makes it make sense. Um, is he deserving of the Pro Bowl in actuality? There's so much that he leaves to be desired in the pass defense, the pass coverage area. I hesitate to say so, but that's only an issue because this team doesn't know how to use him. If this team was smart, like the Rams, and used him properly, I don't think it would matter that much. Like, you go down to his advanced metrics and you look at how often he was targeted on the Rams and how many yards he gave up as a Rams player in coverage. It's a lot less than what he's had to do in Seattle. So that tells me it's something we're doing. It's not something with Bobby. Bobby didn't magically become a much better coverage player for 1 year when he went to LA in 2022. So it's not just him. Devon Witherspoon, this is the one guy who I was really hoping would be able to make the Pro Bowl. I wasn't sure if he was going to do it because he only has the one interception and he missed several games. He's going to have ended up in totality missed about 3 games this year, and there are going to be some games where he played, but he didn't play all that much, and he maybe only played part of the game, and we were taking it easy with him, and maybe he didn't play that well because of that. But he's been a very splash player, despite not necessarily putting up big splash stats. He's been great on the blitz when we've used him. 3 sacks is among league leaders for cornerbacks, making plays in the run, making plays in the backfield. Been good in that area for a cornerback. The pick was a very splashy pick. National Football 97-yard touchdown going the other way. He's forced a fumble. He's near league lead in passes defensed, which is big. These PBUs really help. And you can see that they've done a lot of the heavy lifting in getting Witherspoon to the Pro Bowl. And it also helps that Seattle's pass defense is probably overall at least okay. Their run defense is the real problem right now. So a guy like Witherspoon isn't necessarily going to catch heat for that. So, yeah, I think that Witherspoon's played at a Pro Bowl level. I wasn't sure if the missed games were going to come back and bite him or not, but they let him in. I think it's pretty cool. I hope he has a good time, and hopefully it's the first of many. All right, the final one, Julian Love. This one, I don't know. He had his best game of the year on Monday Night Football to save the Seahawks season against the Eagles. That probably did most of the heavy lifting here, let's be real. Because Julian Love, I don't know if he's been bad, but I'm just going to say it, like, this is a guy who's had real problems this year. He's had issues in coverage, he's had issues in tackling, he's had issues in just being in the right place, it's been an up and down year. It's been a roller coaster with him. There's been some great stuff, like the interceptions. He leads the team in interceptions with 4. He had 2 in a huge spot against the Eagles when we absolutely needed it to save our season. He's forced a couple of fumbles, which is a skill. I mean, we do see that forcing fumbles is a skill. He's one of the team leaders, in tackles. He's going to end up with over 120, it looks like. He has been, to some extent, a stabilizing force on this defense, but then there are other areas where it's like, okay, double-digit missed tackles, which is way more than he's ever had in his career. He's been targeted over and over again in coverage and been a real issue in coverage, almost 600 yards allowed. So, I mean, I see why he made it. It makes sense why he made it, but I don't know if I would necessarily defend this one. I would have to take a look at the entire NFC and see if there are no other really high-profile safeties, or not enough. Because maybe the 4 interceptions and the high tackle numbers would get him in. Maybe. But off the top of my head, if I'm just being straight honest, and I like Julian Love. I don't dislike him. I think he's had a decent season. But there have been enough bad things going on to make me think, I don't know about this. For one, I mean, he hasn't even played 80% of our snaps because he's been something of a rotational player. And beyond that, when he's been out there, he has at times been a negative impact player. He just has. I'm sorry. And again, this is, I think, a big reason why we're here right now is that he had his best game of the year by far on Monday night against Philly to save our season. If it wasn't for that, I don't think that this would even be a potential possibility. Like, did Julian Love really have that much of a better season than somebody like a Woolen, who did have, by his own standards, a down season because of his tackling issues? Like, if Love's going to go to the Pro Bowl, then I kind of feel like Woolen should be in the Pro Bowl instead. I know they don't play the same position, but Woolen to me was a better player on this team than Love. Probably you could find somebody on offense who I think was a better player for the Seahawks than Julian Love. Boye Mafe was definitely, I think, a better player for this team this year than Julian Love. All right, but regardless, congratulations to these three guys. Obviously, I'm not convinced that the 24th ranked overall defense deserves to have three Pro Bowlers, and I'm not convinced that these are even the ones that I would pick. But it's awesome for Bobby to make a ninth career Pro Bowl, and it's awesome for Witherspoon to make it as a rookie. And Julian Love, I mean, this is his first year post rookie contract. He's trying to prove himself, prove that he's worth an even bigger one down the line, and Pro Bowl's going to look pretty good on that resume. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming later. Just wanted to briefly go over this before it became yesterday's news because while I don't care that much, I care a little. See you guys later.